What is up, everybody? Mike here, and welcome to another episode of The Lanky Woodsman. In this episode, we will be doing a field test and tabletop of the Bark River Bravo Vortex. So guys, the specs on this beauty: it is made in A2 steel. The weight is 9.8 ounces. Overall length is 10.5 inches. The blade is 5.5 inches. And the height of the blade is 1.275 inches. It's on the spine here, it's 0.217, and it's hardened to 58 to 60 RC. So it's got a great handle. It's got some scallops out here for, close-up thumb and finger placement. Got yourself a nice little lanyard extension on the back. But let us talk about this blade just a little bit. I was a little bit kind of hesitant at first. So what happened was I had a Bark River camping trail, and I didn't really like it all that much. As far as a knife goes, it was beautiful. I loved it like that, but I never used it. It basically sat in my drawer and occasionally came out to do some food prep. And that's not really something that I wanted to continue with. So I also kind of am out of budget to get in new Bark Rivers here on the channel, at least for a while. So I was trying to think of ways where I could get a new blade in and keep these reviews going on some of the nicer blades as well as the budget blades. So I threw out some feelers on the Bark River Knives Facebook group. If anybody wanted to purchase it, and it ended up that a gentleman wanted to go ahead and trade for a camping trail, and this is what he had to offer. I generally like the black C-Tech, but it doesn't make a difference to me as long as it's C-Tech. I love it. Has a great handle shape. Ergonomics are fantastic. Great grip. And just an overall perfect size camp knife for me. I got into a little bit of the discussion about the philosophy of use and what Jim Stewart was thinking when he designed the blade. And I think he nailed it pretty much as far as what he was going for. You got good length, you got a fine tip for fine tasks. You have the good spine for ferro rod and all of the bushcraft tasks. This thing performs spectacularly. You can get a good grip up close. But also a side note or a side thought of what this knife's purpose would be. It could also be an everyday carry or a fighter. It's not gonna be like your tactical karambit style fighting knives, but it does have a very long sweeping blade up here, which is going to be great for slicing. It gives you a good amount of length. It's not something that you're going to have to get super close to employ. Is that the right word? Employ? I don't know. Deploy? Stab someone. It's going to be good enough to stab someone. I am by no means a tactical knife user or a defensive knife user. I don't ever plan on being in a knife fight. If someone wants to pop themselves into a knife fight with me, there you go. I win. Bring your knife. I'm not really one that's I'm afraid of knife fights, to be totally honest with you. I don't know what it is. But either way, this is an amazing blade. I definitely hope you guys stick around to check out the field test. Go ahead and pick yourself up one of these. You will not be disappointed. I'm going to guess that all of the Bravo series are going to be amazing knives. They're their top seller, and it's definitely something that people need to get on and check these babies out. They actually do have one at Knives Ship Free in my black C-Tech. Kind of mad. I want to trade this into the black C-Tech one. The only thing that I didn't like, I'm not a big fan of the ramp, so I am actually gonna see if I can't get that removed. It definitely needs a little bit of love. There's a couple of rust spots on here that wouldn't come out with just my polishing. But other than that, this thing was in pristine condition. The edge was amazing. It did chopping. It did all of the bushcraft tasks, and it's just great. Really good feel. Perfect camp knife. This is going to be perfect on a belt. Let's talk about the sheath real quick. I already went over it a little bit in the field video, but this is just an amazing sheath as far as a production sheath goes. Good retention. You have a tab here to protect the retention strap from the blade. You can wear this scout carry, you can wear it vertical. Got your ferro rod loop, and you have a loop here at the bottom for lashing to your leg. Wet formed. I've never seen a leather one come wet formed without the person who purchased it doing it. But yeah, overall it's an amazing knife. I definitely want you guys to check out the video, and I also threw in a little bit of four-wheeling in there to just liven the video up a little bit. I got some new software to work with, and I think I'm getting to the point where I feel really confident in the quality of my videos, and I'm really starting to enjoy this more and more each time I do a video. So stick around and check out the field test of this beautiful blade. And then check out some four-wheeling while you're at it. What is up, guys? I'm out here at camp and I have a new blade to be testing. I want to go ahead and get this set up and have it as organized as possible. I got a little bit of decent weather. I got out here on the four-wheeler. It was really quick. I might be able to squeak in some of the footage that I got on the way in. I spooked a porcupine and it was clumsily climbing up a tree. I thought that was kind of funny. So what I have today is I picked up in a trade over the weekend. I got a Bark River Bravo Vortex. Something that I wanted to do is get a bunch more of the Bravo series, because that's one of the main knives for Bark River, and one of their biggest sellers is I want to get some of those in here, and I'm trying to come up with ways to do that. I was able to trade my Camp and Trail for this Bravo Vortex. Never really fell in love with the Camp and Trail. It was the first one I bought. I didn't really know what to expect out of Bark River and what kind of knives that I was looking to get. So let me get all of this stuff set up and come back with you guys and get this testing done, and then have a couple of things to discuss about the channel, list updates and stuff like that. So stick with me and I'll be right back. Okay guys, oh, got a little visitor here. Let's get rid of this thing. Let's just get into this. Now this is one of the nicest sheaths I've seen from Bark River stock. What they have in here, you have a small protective thing, so as you're bringing the blade in and out, you don't cut the strap itself, which is actually really nice. And you also have one of the, if not the only, one of the first sheaths that came wet formed from the company themselves. Down here you have the loop to tie to fasten to your leg. Obviously here we have the ferro rod loop, and there is a very large area here for your belt, and also to add stiffness they have a stiffening layer here, so you can carry, you know, on your belt, on your hip. And then another option to carry this blade is scout carry. You can put your belt through there. You can clip the first layer if you need a wider belt, and if you have a smaller belt, you just clip where it normally goes. Very nice. And like I said, I got this secondhand. It doesn't look like it has ever really been used, but let's get up into it here. Blue C-Tech. Obviously black C-Tech is my favorite, but any C-Tech is nice, so I'm going to continue that trend as I'm getting blades. You got the ramp A2 steel, a smaller, thicker lanyard extension. Can be used for pounding and stuff like that. I don't really like the lanyard in it myself, but anyway, let's get into some of the testing on this sweet little knife here. See if we can do some batoning. Let me back it up here so you all can see. Whoop. Very nice. It's actually doing a really good job. It's got a decent thickness on the spine. And the thickness will help spread the wood apart quicker, more efficiently. Obviously the Scandi was something that worked for that. The Scandi Vex by Bark River was very nice for that. This blade, I wasn't sure at first. Obviously I knew I wanted to trade and I wanted to get some more content for the channel here. And I wasn't sure, but I was like, what the heck, I know I definitely don't use the camp and trail other than a kitchen knife. I haven't even done a video on it yet. It's a great blade, don't get me wrong, but I think it's just designed for something that I don't do. I think that a backpacker or something like that, a hiker, would be in love with that blade, you know, as far as its cutting ability. It's a great slicer, and it has a very, very lightweight design. It's only 5 ounces for an 8-inch blade. And that definitely has a purpose, but for me, it isn't one that I need at this point. So I was able to get this thing very, very sharp using the black and green compound on a leather strop. So let's see what we can do with feather sticks. Just as good as any. This blade is definitely it's got a good weight, it's got great balance, the handle's awesome. You have these like thumb spots here. You can get in there and get up close. The pointy blade is what I was talking about, as far as it looked a little weird to me at first, but I'm more used to, you know, your normal drop point. But yeah, this is a great feel. The C-Tech again is amazing. It's just a very well balanced blade. I love the handle actually. This is the first time holding this handle style from them, and I love it. See if we can get a little bit of removing some wood here. Very nice. The edge is holding up spectacularly. Let's see here, we got some rope. If I can get into it, this blade's actually too sharp to get into this. Cut some cordage here. It's nothing crazy, but the type of stuff that you'll be doing. Try doubling it up. Not going to have an issue, I know that. No problem. Also a great slicer. This actually has a very, very fine point, and it reminds me a lot of the Camp and Trail, except for this blade is quite a bit thicker and heavier as you get further down, but it does come to a very, very fine point. And you have just the ever so slightest little swedge there to add some strength to the tip, which is very good for the type of stuff that I'm going to be doing, and the Camp and Trail didn't have that. Looks like about the same average stuff as the other Bark Rivers as far as the spine goes. Let's get a little bit of this Fatwood here. This Fatwood is from Brian at Capefearoutdoors and Survival and the Fatwood Emporium. This stuff is amazing. Get a load of that. I mean, that is top notch. And I haven't broken any down yet, so I'm just going to do that quick with this knife and get some nicer square sticks made. This stuff is great. I'm actually really glad I got to come out and get some of this done. Brian is a good guy. He's got a great channel. You should definitely go check that out. I'll definitely put a link here as well as to where you can get this blade, which I'm actually really enjoying. This is going to be something for me that falls kind of in between the Bravo Survivor and the Bark River Bushcrafter. Which are all amazing knives. Like I said, I just didn't have that use for the Camp and Trail. Look at that in there. That is just good stuff. I hadn't had a whole lot of experience with Fatwood and came across Brian's channel and watched some of the stuff that he does on there, and yeah, I ordered a $5.50 worth, which gave me, I think it was like 1.5 pounds or something like that. And this stuff is so amazing at starting fires. I had no idea the ability of it to take a spark is just crazy. Especially if you get into the inside and see this just turning color. Comes from North Carolina. He coined the term North Carolina sweetwood, which I think is fitting. See if I can't get this stuff to light up. That stuff is beautiful. Nice black smoke comes off of that. Pardon me, I'm just going to try to get a thumbnail. Great stuff. Okay, enough goofing around. Let's get into some chopping. Not exactly what you would consider to be a blade that you're going to do a ton of chopping with, but you got to do it. You got to test everything out. Test everything out on these blades. So I've got now a spot here where I've grabbed an entire log, which I'm hoping will work out a lot better for the chop tests. We need a random number of how many chops to do from now on. I'm trying to get a good gauge on every test that I do so every knife has exactly the same chance. I feel like when I see tack do videos, I feel like 10 is just not enough. Let's do 15 and see where that gets us. All right, let's do 15. Not bad for a very small bushcraft knife. Let me, you can see it. You know, it's not exactly a chopping knife, but they all need to be able to chop if you want to process things. Real easy. I'm not afraid to mess with the tip on this one as I was the camp and trail. Nice and straight. Yeah, this is a great knife. A2 tool steel. I might send it back and have the jimping, or I mean the thumb ramp removed. I just think it'll look that much cooler without it. I'm not exactly a fan of it anyway. I will keep it there on my Bravo Survivor just because I want that to have as many options for use as possible, being my survival blade. So we have done fire starting, feather sticking, batoning, rope cutting, chopping. Let's do some of the smaller, finer things like notching and things like that. I picked a horrible spot. All of a sudden there's just a couple of light beams coming through. Like I said, I actually was able to, well, maybe I didn't say it, but before I did this video, I really wanted to start upping my game as far as my reviews of blades go and not just do this, you know, the minimum. All right, One thing I was able to do before I started getting into the thoughts on how to test this blade was I was able to reach out to Jim Stewart at Bark River Knives, and he was kind enough to actually answer my question. And what I really wanted was just what his thoughts were. He is the one who designed the blade itself for this knife, the Bravo Vortex. Can't even go out in the woods and get peace and quiet. I don't know what that was, some kind of animal dying. Jim told me that his thoughts behind this blade were 90% bushcraft or EDC type tasks and 10% fighter. Now, I get where he comes in with a 10% for a fighter, being the length of the blade, the pointiness of the blade, which will also help with bushcraft stuff, but also the sweep, the long sweep here that you get, you know, for good slicing. You know, in my mind, I'm not anywhere near a knife fighting expert or even a novice. I'm not ever going to get into a knife fight. If that's my option, I'm running. In my mind, what I have watched and researched is you're going to want something that can give you, you know, good slicing ability and a good distance. So you want, you know, a decently long blade. So I got his philosophy behind that. For me, this is going to be a bushcraft knife, a camp knife. For me, this would be a camp knife. I'm not somebody who comes out here and you know, survives for months at a time out in the woods. I do bushcraft type tasks for fun, to test video, for fun, and to test knives and other gear. What I do, and what I do find myself, or consider myself at least a pro at, is just regular camping. And this, for me, is something that is going to be my camping belt knife, along with my Bravo, along with my bushcrafter. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about the blade.